All right, so picture this. You've landed an interview for that accounting manager position you've been hoping for.
I bet you're feeling that mix of excitement and nerves, huh?
Yeah, definitely a little bit of both.
Well, today we're going to take a deep dive into some common interview questions
Perfect.
and hopefully give you a little boost of confidence going in.
Sounds good.
We're pulling some insights from workable.com.
Okay.
They have a great article called 10 plus proven accounting manager interview questions.
Plus answers.
Yeah, plus answers.
Awesome.
So, even those like quote unquote basic accounting questions,
Hmm.
those are a chance to really stand out.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, think about it. Anyone prepped for an accounting manager interview can probably define like sales journals and purchase journals.
Right.
But what sets you apart is showing you can actually apply that knowledge.
Oh, so it's not enough to just like rattle off the definition of a sales journal.
Exactly. Give them a little bit more. Like a quick example, mention how a sales journal helps track credit sales, which is key for managing accounts receivable and ultimately cash flow.
So it shows that I'm not just like memorizing terms, I'm thinking about the bigger picture.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Now, the article also mentions this question about fraud analysis.
Uh-huh.
Why do you think that's becoming such a hot topic in these interviews?
Well, I would guess that it's probably because we've seen some pretty high-profile fraud cases in recent years.
Sadly. Yeah.
And maybe regulations are getting a little bit tougher.
Yeah, you're right on the money there.
Okay.
It's a sign of the times companies need accounting managers who are, proactive, not just reactive.
So not just catching fraud after it happens, but preventing it.
Exactly. It's about building systems and processes to minimize that risk from the very beginning.
Gotcha.
The article talks about the importance of internal audits, which are obviously crucial.
Right.
But there's this fascinating blend happening now with
Data analytics.
Yes, data analytics.
I was just thinking that.
It's huge.
Modern accounting systems, they just generate so much data.
Right.
And being able to analyze that data to spot anomalies and, really connect the dots, that's a skill set that can make you really invaluable to a company.
It's almost like being a financial detective.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of modern tools, the article also emphasizes ERP systems
Yes.
like SAP and Microsoft Dynamics.
Mhm.
How important is it for an accounting manager these days to be tech savvy?
It's not just important, it's almost like a requirement.
Okay, we mean.
Well, a strong accounting manager needs to understand how those ERP systems impact the entire financial workflow of a company.
Uh-huh.
How do they integrate with other departments? What are the potential pitfalls? Can you troubleshoot issues or better yet, anticipate them?
So it's not just about being good with spreadsheets anymore.
Right.
You need to be a tech savvy leader.
Exactly. You need to be able to navigate those systems, but also guide your team through any tech changes or implementations.
And that is a skill that catches the eye of hiring managers.
Okay, now shifting gears a bit, let's talk about budgeting.
Okay.
The article mentions that you need historical data projections, key performance indicators. It sounds like a lot to juggle in an interview.
It can be.
Yeah.
But don't get too overwhelmed. Interviewers aren't expecting you to have memorized every single figure from your previous company's budget.
Right.
What they're looking for is your thought process.
Okay.
Can you outline those key elements that go into creating a really comprehensive budget?
Uh-huh.
Can you show them that you have a structured approach to gathering and analyzing the necessary information?
So it's less about specific numbers and more about just demonstrating that I can think strategically about budgeting.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, there's another question that sounds a bit intimidating.
Okay.
It asks, are you familiar with SFAS?
I have to admit I'm a little fuzzy on that one. Could you break that down for us?
Sure. SFAS stands for Statement of Financial Accounting Standards. Think of them as the rules of the road for financial reporting.
Gotcha.
They ensure consistency and transparency, which are super crucial for making sound financial decisions.
So why is it so important for an aspiring accounting manager to be well-versed in SFAS?
Because it shows you understand the framework that governs everything you do.
Okay.
Imagine a basketball coach who doesn't know the rules of the game.
Right.
It just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
SFAS is like your rule book for accounting,
Uh-huh.
and knowing it inside and out really demonstrates that commitment to ethical and accurate financial practices.
That makes perfect sense.
Now, before we move on, there's one final question in this section that caught my eye.
Okay.
The one about dealing with a customer payment error.
Right.
It seems pretty straightforward on the surface.
Uh-huh.
But is there something more to it? There is. It's a chance to show off those all-important soft skills.
Oh.
Like, how do you communicate with the customer?
Uh-huh.
Do you approach the situation with empathy?
Right.
And focus on really finding a solution?
Yeah, it's like that saying, accounting is about more than just numbers. It's about people, too.
Exactly.
Now, the article also dives into some of those behavioral interview questions.
Oh, yeah.
And I think those can be really tricky for people to prepare for.
They can be, but they're also a fantastic opportunity to let your personality and your experience really shine through.
Okay.
One question that stood out to me was, what resources do you use to stay up to date with changes in legislation?
That seems pretty straightforward.
It does, but I bet there's a way to answer that strategically.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyone can mention a few industry websites or journals,
Right.
but what really impresses interviewers is seeing that genuine commitment to continuous learning.
So don't just list the resources, talk about how I use them.
Exactly. Give an example.
Okay.
You could say something like, I make it a habit to scan the AICPA website for new pronouncements each week, and I've set up alerts for specific topics that are really relevant to my area of expertise.
So it shows that I'm proactive and dedicated to staying on top of my game. Nice.
Now, another behavioral question that caught my eye was, have you ever implemented any improvements to accounting procedures?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it seems like a chance to talk about a success story.
Right.
But what are interviewers really looking for here?
Well, I guess they're looking for problem solvers.
Yes.
People who don't just accept inefficiencies, but take the initiative to find solutions.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Think of a time when you identified a problem in your accounting department and then took steps to address it.
So it's not just about complaining, it's about taking ownership and finding solutions.
Exactly. And when you're describing that situation, don't just focus on the problem itself.
Okay.
Walk them through your process.
Gotcha.
How did you analyze the situation? What steps did you take?
Yeah.
And most importantly, what was the outcome?
Did I streamline a process? Did I save the company money?
Yeah, quantifying those accomplishments, that really makes your answer stand out.
That's a great point.
Now let's talk leadership. The article asks, describe a time when your team managed to achieve ambitious goals you set. What did you do to support them, and how did you motivate them?
So this question goes beyond just being a good accountant.
It absolutely does. This is where you demonstrate your ability to inspire and guide a team towards success. Yeah. It's about creating a shared vision, setting clear expectations, and providing the support your team needs to really thrive.
So it's about being more than a boss. It's about being a leader.
Exactly. Any advice on how to really nail this answer? Share a specific anecdote. Talk about a time when you helped a team member overcome a challenge, or how you recognized and celebrated their achievements.
Yeah, it shows that I understand that leadership is about fostering a positive and collaborative environment.
Exactly. Those personal touches can really make your answer come alive.
I like that.
Now let's wrap up this section on behavioral questions with one final example from the article.
Okay.
What's the most challenging analysis problem you faced at work?
Oh, that one seems designed to really test my technical skills.
It is. But remember, it's not just about finding the right answer.
Right.
It's about showcasing your analytical thinking process and your ability to tackle those complex problems.
So instead of just giving the solution, walk them through my approach step by step.
Exactly what information did you gather? What tools or techniques did you use? Were there any roadblocks you had to overcome?
Right.
By sharing that thought process, you really demonstrate those problem-solving skills.
And my resilience.
Yes. And it's okay to be honest about the challenges you faced.
Right. It's not about pretending that I have all the answers.
Nobody expects perfection.
Oh, good.
What they want to see is a thoughtful, adaptable accounting professional who can navigate those complex situations with confidence.
That makes sense. Now, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From technical accounting concepts to behavioral interview questions. What can our listeners expect in the final part of this deep dive? We've talked about showcasing that technical knowledge and highlighting those soft skills.
Right, right.
But what about those curveball questions?
Those curveball questions.
The ones that interviewers throw in just to see how you think on your feet?
Oh, yeah. Those can really throw you off if you're not prepared.
Yeah, for sure.
But they also give you a chance to really stand out from other candidates.
Okay, so how do you handle a question that just seems to come out of left field?
First, don't panic.
Well, good advice.
Take a breath. And remember, the interviewer isn't trying to trick you.
Right.
They want to see your thought process, how you handle these unexpected situations.
Okay, makes sense.
One really common curveball question is, what is your greatest weakness?
Ooh. Yeah, that can feel like a trap.
It can, but it's really an opportunity.
An opportunity to point out all my flaws and scare them away.
Not exactly. It's a chance to show self-awareness and a
Uh-huh.
desire to grow. Choose a weakness that's relevant to the role, but not a deal breaker.
Right.
And more importantly, talk about how you're actively working to improve in that area.
So if I tend to get like bogged down in details, I could mention that I'm working on delegating tasks more effectively.
Perfect example.
Oh, good.
It shows you recognize a potential area for growth and you're taking steps to address it.
Makes sense.
Another common curveball is, tell me about a time you made a mistake.
Uh, Again, uncomfortable.
Yeah, but honesty and a willingness to learn from your experiences,
Uh,
those are valuable traits.
I guess everyone makes mistakes, right?
They do. It's what you do afterwards that matters.
Okay, so how do I spin this in a positive light?
Choose a mistake that wasn't catastrophic,
Okay,
but taught you a valuable lesson.
gotcha.
Briefly explain the situation, what went wrong, how you fixed it, and what you learned.
So humility and a commitment to continuous improvement.
Exactly.
Now, as we wrap up, any final advice on how to really make a lasting impression in those final moments of the interview?
It's all about reinforcing your enthusiasm
Uh-huh.
and leaving them with a sense of who you are
Okay.
as a person and as a professional.
So reiterate my excitement for the role in the company.
Yes, and don't forget to ask thoughtful questions.
Shows I've been paying attention and I'm genuinely interested.
Exactly. Prepare a few questions in advance that demonstrate your knowledge of the company and the industry.
I'll keep being simple.
You could ask, what are some of the biggest challenges facing the accounting department in the coming year?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Or, how does the company foster a culture of continuous learning and development for its employees?
So it's a chance to show that I'm not just looking for any job. I'm looking for the right fit.
Exactly. Now, as we close out this deep dive, let's leave our listeners with one final thought.
I like this.
Think back to a time when you had to explain a complex financial concept to someone who wasn't an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
How did you make it clear and engaging?
Ooh, that's a great exercise. It really gets to the heart of communication and leadership. Being able to break down complex information
Yeah.
into digestible terms is a skill that will serve you well.
Absolutely.
Not just in interviews, but throughout your entire accounting career.
Well said. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Into accounting manager interviews.
We hope this has been helpful and given you the confidence to go out there and ace those interviews.
Remember, you got this good luck out there, future accounting managers.